Cool. So as far as like an atypical org chart goes, with functions and structures and reporting lines, this is a bit wonky. And the reason, well, okay, I won't just say it's a bit wonky without qualifying it. Depending on how thin or lean you want your business to be, will determine how fat the middle of your management team is. And so my preference pre-scale, during the growth phase of the business, is to be as lean and mean as possible with as few go-between staff and as few people in between customers and the people doing the work. And the reason that I like it this way, and the reason that I recommend you have it set up in this way, is because that's how you drive ownership among the team. So this component of the org chart, which is the lead content strategist and the content writer, and to a lesser extent the graphic designer, these folks are the ones that are doing the work. These are the not the grunts, but the people that are executing. And so if this was my business, I would not have a creative director role in the middle until I'd hit a reasonable amount of scale. And when I say reasonable, I'm talking about 100K, 150K in MRR, and looking to build out a bit of a like an ownership pool within the content strategist, content writer model. And the reason that this is important, as I said before, is that you want to drive ownership among the team so they absolutely feel the pain of when they don't deliver on customer expectations. I speak to this from experience because I've worked with a content shop before where their writers didn't deliver and they kept not delivering, and the feedback just gets filtered through, and then it just becomes the manager gets squished in between it. So that is the first thing that I see, which is like this creative director role. I would kill that and look for a way to manage that function through the existing team and have them own that. Director of operations, again, like this is a bit of a fat middle for this scale of business at 70K, assuming that all of these roles are in place at 70K. I'm not sure if that's what the Yoda thing represents, but the idea of having like there's functions and there's tasks that need to be performed at this level, but my belief is that having dedicated roles to solve for this is not going to be necessary. Now, maybe what is represented here is you've got Jake is actually going to do these roles, Jess is going to do these roles, another person is going to do these roles, and that's what the key represents. But even as far as the model goes, I'd be looking to pull out as much fat as I could and as much admin as I could from the process, and see if I can get like a part-time admin person to manage all of this nonsense here. So customer integrations, director of operations, server contractor, accounting looks like it's outsourced, and then this VP of engineering would probably just be an engineering resource rather than a VP. And I'm not sure about these titles where it's like a director, a VP, and an integrator visionary. That doesn't follow a typical convention, and maybe that's a reason that I'm having a hard time kind of working through it. But I guess my point here is this fat middle of these roles. I'd be driving ownership bottom up from here. I would be having a part-time admin in here and really pushing the boundaries on what the team members are capable of doing, because then once they're at capacity, once they're really getting not hammered, but they're getting pushed, then you're going to see where things break. And if you've already got a stopgap in here for a lead content strategist role, then that might not be a necessary role. Like it's a good role and it's a helpful role, but it might not really solve for what you need. And then VP sales and marketing sales rep, definitely got to sell. I wonder about the level of like scope or ownership, or what like the difference here is going to be in the long term. And maybe this changes. So Jake, you can probably weigh in on this in Slack or something like that. But you know, that those number of roles probably doesn't match up with, or those number of bums in seats may not match up with having a healthy profit margin. And this is something I see a lot in these org charts, which is that they're like really, really people heavy. WP Curve was way too people heavy when we were outside of GoDaddy. We actually became more efficient and more profitable going into GoDaddy because we had to be. And that was through driving, you know, performance and really high expectations throughout the team and changing up the product model to become more profitable. Like it just kind of had to happen. So anyway, summarizing all of this, bottoms up model, drive all of the work through the people that are like executing, carve out time for them to own the relationship, kill the creative director role to start. And I would prompt Jake on this one to go back to the drawing board and start bottoms up rather than top down, and then see what shakes out, see what's really necessary, because a role here and a role there can be, you know, 5 to 10 grand a month, which makes a huge difference. And that to me is meaningful money that can be then reinvested into marketing or